Welcome to another show of My First Job. This is episode 103. What does it take to get into event management as a career? An ability to think on your feet or solve problems that crop up without warning? Does a good event manager have to anticipate or plan better? We're speaking today to Siddharth Ganeriwala, who has always seemed to like the unpredictable and the interesting. He's an accomplished event and experiential management specialist with over 27 years of experience, and he's the founder, director, and CEO of Aura Events. And if that wasn't enough, Wedding Vows as well, a bespoke wedding planning service. So he knows how to organize those big fat weddings. He's propagated and driven the use of immersive technologies like AR, VR, and MR in creating experiences. So this podcast goes into interesting and engaging career journeys. I'm Venugopal Nair, the host of the show and CEO of Ideascape Communications, which is into advertising, branding, and design. So sit back and enjoy another career journey, which will be full of twists, turns, and insights. Siddharth, welcome to the show.
Looking forward to this episode, Venu. It's been long overdue, if I might say, and happy to spend some time taking us through the journey of event management and my learnings on it.
Great. So were you always someone who liked to organize things? If you were in a, when you were growing up, did you want to sort of, you're the guy who drove the cricket matches and the various other things, or you were, no, this is not my scene.
So, I mean, now that you asked this question, I'm thinking, which I never thought before. Okay, is that yeah? I mean, it was for me. It was there was a natural affinity to be around, okay, and get things done. So if there was a cricket match, we used to play gully cricket. So I was the one, waiting at that 3:45, literally going house to house and getting folks saying, "Come, come! It's nearly 4 o'clock. We're supposed to play cricket." So I
Yeah.
was the sort of a person who liked to get people together. When I look back to that age of 13 to 15, sort of a thing. Uh, just make sure that there were people around so we could have a great time. I didn't realize that getting people around and wanting to have a great time would lead me to a career in event management. But I think sometimes things happen as they're supposed to happen. So that's something which came to me by default, if I might say. And as I moved on, college and everything, I was not into theater and drama and all of that, but the ability to get people together, okay, was something which, now that you ask me the question, like I said, seems to be something that was naturally something that comes came to get together for me easily.
So when you were studying and getting through college, you come from a business family?
Yes, come from a rather, I would say, fourth generation business family. Okay.
Yeah. So I think there is something about growing up in a business family that changes your outlook because it's not like you're looking at a job. But even then, was getting into event management a bit of a departure from the family business?
So definitely yes, because we are a very traditional Marwadi, Calcutta based community, which my parents came into Chennai or Madras, the erstwhile Madras, way back in '64. Okay, and then they carried the family business over here. My brother he's 6 years older than me. He was already in business, expanding it in different areas. So I kind of finished college in 1996, and I didn't want to get into the family business because that's not something which attracted me. And of course, I have always been like the chalk cheese in the family. Want to do something different, want to do something unique. So I just actually thought I will go get a job. And believe me, when I said that and I spoke at home, if heaven and hell came together, okay, that was that day. They were like, job? You're going to be insulting the family? going to be, as they say in Hindi, hamari naak katne wale ho, lot of drama. Okay, then I had to turn this. No, no, no. When I meant a job, I'm going for training. I want to go for training. If I go
Right.
for training somewhere else, then maybe when I come back to the family business, I can bring good practices and things like that. So that kind of eased the tension,
Ease
and
into
from
it.
hell it went to heaven. But it was not an easy move, I might say, in my family at that point of time.
So, which was your first job? Was it Eventus where we worked together, or I was in Fountainhead and you were in Eventus at that point in time?
When you're right, my first job was actually in Eventus. Okay, and there's a little backstory to this. Okay, uh, I saw an ad in the paper, and I knew of Eventus because Shalini, who is Suresh's daughter, and she and I were in ISEC together. Okay, so
Okay.
it is a student organization way back in college. So I knew that her parents run this ad agency and an event company. Didn't know what an event company, but I knew they were in advertising and things like that. So when I saw that, I said, okay, let me go give it a shot. Okay, and if nothing else, I'll learn something from hanging around in these interviews. So I walked in. It was a walk-in interview, and I still remember Aarti was the second floor, walking in, and met this lady called Geraldine, who was the HR at that point of time. And she looked at me up and down, and I was this scrawny little character, 21 years of old, and she looks at me and she's like, like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, this is the job interview thing, lad. I've come for it. She's like, did you read all the lines? It says MBA, 5 to 8 years experience. I said, hey, listen, I'm here. Okay,
Yeah,
so give it a shot. And she, I think in her
that's
mind
right.
was, there were very few people in that room. Okay, just three, four of
Right.
them. I thought she must have thought that, okay, at least let's get enough
Let me at
people.
least say, yeah,
So
yeah.
the bosses inside can have multiple people to interview. So I was there sitting in that reception with a few other folks who were obviously older than me, probably 28, 30, and I was just sitting there waiting for my chance to go into the room. So yes, my first job was Eventus, and I'm grateful that I started my career there.
Yeah, those were good times because the event management company or event management as a business was just coming into its own around that time. I don't think there were too many people. Okay, the events as a category, as a career, I think now that it is almost 30 years ago, you're looking back at it and saying, okay, where did it all start? But Potpourri was one of the early events in 96 or 97, which kind of defined the kind of thing in Chennai. I mean, I'm sure in Bombay and all the other places, there were lots of other events. So, what got you going into the events part? Because it's not, there's a lot of organizing and thought that has to go in much before the event begins. So, did you like that, or did you like the sense of effervescence that happens when an event is underway?
So, just staying with that little Eventus story for a bit, I walked in and, I got interviewed and then got hired. And then since Eventus was a startup with only three people in the organization, okay,
Yeah.
I'm part of the large ad agency where we met, Venu, Fountainhead. I was given a walk around of Fountainhead, and I kept getting introduced to account director, account manager, account supervisor, account executive. Trust me, it sounds silly, but at that point of time, in my head, I'm running at it's an advertising agency. Why do they have so many accountants? Okay, so that was the naivety, is what or the innocence that I got into it. Okay,
Yeah.
and then the first event that we were tasked to do was probably the largest film awards in South India, called the Cinema Express Awards, owned by the Indian Express Group. And my role was to go generate sponsorships. Okay, given a laptop, fancy 97, getting a laptop of your own. You have a presentation, and had to go and meet people to get sponsorship of over around 1.5 crores was the target. Now just look back in 96, 2 crores in today's day and age. I would probably go and say that is worth at least 50 crores, if thereabout, if I have to make an assumption. So I went in, did these sales calls. We were not successful at all, but learned a lot. Learned that thinking on the feet is very important. Okay, because when you're going and meeting a sponsor, if you go meet a sponsor who's in the FMCG category, the questions they ask you is very different. Okay, when you go meet somebody in the auto industry, the questions they ask you is very different, from sponsorship, mileage, displays, and everything, right? So it was a great learning spade for us at that point of time. And then somehow we managed to get sponsors from support of various peoples, and then the event itself happened at the Nehru Indoor Stadium, which is the largest indoor stadium in Chennai, around 7,500 people. Walked in there, see this huge stadium, no clue, okay, what's happening. Okay, but then since we were part of that large advertising agency, I know we had great talent in Santi, who's our art director. You see him walking around there and putting, dealing with this gentleman called Makbul Basha, who was a production genius in his own way, putting the stage together. My colleague over there, Santosh, who's senior to me, taking charge of various things. And it just sort of felt like the mood was coming together. There was high adrenaline, the high excitement. You have film stars on stage doing rehearsals, the whole glamour of lighting and sound, and that venue coming together. It I was super excited. I still remain excited. As I'm talking, I get goosebumps because that moment is still fresh in my eyes and ears and my soul, if I might say. So the excitement of seeing things come together was really, really fascinating. Uh, the stomach was churning for sure because I had no idea what we were doing, but the whole excitement of seeing all of this come together is magical.
So when you were talking to these clients for their sponsorships, you said the questions were different. So, do you remember? I know it's very long ago. What were the kind of things they were asking you? So, for example, if it was an FMCG client, would they look for their branding? Would they say that I want to be, uh, you know, projected in a certain way, or were they saying what kind of mileage will I get out of this? What are the concerns which are different?
So trying to recall Venu, but yeah, at that point of time, the 96, 97, 98 era, the entire television and advertising, a lot of it was being led by the sari manufacturers out of Gujarat, Surat especially. There was this
Okay.
Vipul Sari and lot Parag saris and all of this. So you had TV commercials, you had advertising thing like. So you were like, hey, they are advertising so much in South. Why don't we go and meet them? So here we are, going to Surat with a laptop, literally sitting in a sari shop, and opening a laptop to show it to him. And the guy is more interested in the laptop. Okay, he's not interested in what you're saying. Okay, but then by the third, fourth slide, because you're asking branding, film awards, he's excited. So one of the sari guys was like, can everybody coming on stage, okay, for performances and things like that, can they be attired in my brand? And the MC keeps announcing that this sari is by this person and whatever it is. Can the stage design itself have elements of sari? So that was one part of the spectrum. Okay, then I remember we were talking to one of the largest tea brands. Okay, over there, and for them, one of the campaigns they were working with was like the favorite couple. Okay, and as we know in the film industry, there's always romance in the air, right? Somebody is
Yeah.
dating somebody, and then there was this time where there was this the hero and heroine who there were rumors that they were dating each other. So this brand wanted us to get this hero and heroine on stage, okay, and with a branding of their coffee mug, okay,
Okay.
uh, and stand there and then give the award away. So it was very unique listening to these things when I look at that point. I mean, when I look today, at that point of time, it seemed like well acceptable requests. But now when I look back, I'm amused that we had such requests over there. Of course, the Sari guy thankfully didn't come in as a sponsor. Okay. The tea guy came in as a sponsor, but we convinced him that, listen, we're not going to be part of this romance between the hero and heroine, but we will try to integrate your brand in various other ways on ground as well as on television when we take it there.
Hmm. So this is the permanently difficult dynamic to handle, right? How do you create the personality for the event and then get people to come into it and then profit off the image that the event itself over time generates? As opposed to saying that otherwise it becomes, just a brand event rather than something which is of a higher order. Or, in all of these things, I think today it has now become so widespread, and the number of shows that are available, it's amazing how this whole transition has now happened on television. So you have everything from the Indian Idol to the song shows and everything which happened, which earlier used to happen offline. Okay, so after Eventus, or after your training, as you put it, to your family, what is the next step that you took?
I went for a second training. So I said
Would-
I'm finished training one, then I go to training two now. So at that point of time, I through some friends, I met our famous Chennai cricketer Chika, Krishnamachari
yeah.
Srikanth, and he was very keen to use his network, his contacts, and use cricket as a medium to do
Okay.
a series of events across the city, across the country, right? So we got hired for that, and it was very exciting because you know you're 22, 23, you're working with one of the World Cup 1983 winners, full of excitement, full of energy. Srikanth always has carried even till date, apart from his humor. So it was exciting to get to work every day because you would engage with him in various formats and things like that. And he had the network of cricketers who he had access to. There was a time then, there was an opportunity to do brand engagements with Saurav Ganguly for one of the Chennai confectionery brands. There was an opportunity to do some branding with Rahul Dravid with one of the larger South Indian television manufacturers. Okay, so it was very interesting. Then there was Ajay Jadeja that we brought in for a large bicycle manufacturer integration, and then there was something that we were doing with even Sachin. So it was very exciting, if I might say, to do all of this, Venu.
Okay. So, what were the difficult aspects of managing an event? There is one part which is exciting. Which are the truly difficult parts that people outside never see?
Well, there are many difficult parts. Okay, one which comes top of mind is behind what you rather from what you see, the backstory of this is a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. Okay, a lot of disruptive schedules in terms of travel, in terms of weekend, in terms of holidays. So you really, really need to be deeply passionate to let go of those commitments to ensure that you deliver what you have committed to the client or to the vision of the outcome of the event, if I might call it, or the experience as we call it today. So that's a very, very critical part of the journey. uh, Letting go of a lot of your personal commitments because they will come in between. Okay, the second, I won't call it the challenge, but the second need is your ability to think constantly on your feet, because whatever you plan, whatever you do, okay, Murphy's law will find its way and things may not go as per your plan. So it's very, very critical that you have ability to think on your feet, ability to have backup. So you need to have a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then H to K and Z to B. So you need to have these plans and resources available because things generally don't go as per the plan.
Okay. So you're listening to My First Job, the podcast that covers engaging career journeys. And we're talking to Siddharth Ganeriwala, who is the founder of Aura and Wedding Vows. So back to the show. Share, subscribe, share, and please spread the word, because this podcast is about telling you how careers actually evolve, and they are real life careers and not something that comes from textbooks. Okay. So that what are the things that have kept you going? Because 27 years is a long time. And I think before we started, you said you have this, huge burst of energy that comes in, and then you're spent. It's almost like rockets. There's phase one, it goes out, that gets spent, then it's phase two, and then you crash back to Earth. So, did you discover this about yourself, and have you tried to change it? Or have you said that no, this is how I function and this is what my profession needs?
So, what keeps me going, Venu, is this that whole adrenaline rush. Okay, honestly, most days, if not all days, I'm excited to get to work because I know it's a different day, it's a different project, it's a different client, it's a different need that you need to deliver. So there's a huge excitement to turn up to work from a creative part of it. Administratively, I'm going to leave it aside, and we'll probably cover that, in the show if we have time, because those are challenges, right? I mean, people management, financial compliance. Today, those are real challenges. We'll probably cover that if the time permits on the show. So that's what keeps me really excited, Venu, to come to work. Okay. uh, the observation that you had about the highs and lows, well, that's the nature of the industry. Okay. Because none of us can consistently be performing at the same level. You take athletes, you take various other sports persons, you take business leaders. Okay. Everybody has that streak, and they can go on and on and on. Hey, but even your mobile phone drops out of charge, you need to recharge it, right? So you need to find that balance about charging and recharging yourself. For somebody like me, I'm on high charge most often, but I also have a high discharge because I push myself more than I think I should. But I love it so much that I'm fine to deal with the consequences that come with it.
Okay. So, give me a couple of incidents of the events that you've organized where things went according to plan, and also give me a couple of things where things didn't go according to plan. Because this is part of the game. I don't think people should assume that it's just one series of string of successes.
Okay, I'm going to let you in a secret. Okay, nothing goes as per the plan. Okay,
That we
so
all know.
face of it, everything is perfect, everything is great. uh, but at the back end, like I said, there are folks who probably have had stomach churns. They've had headaches. They've had to probably use the loo couple of times. They probably had to retch because the need and the
Nervousness.
pressure and the stress gets to you. But there are a few interesting incidents, if I might say, Venu. One of the fun ones, if I might say, because right now it's many years ago. We are setting up this whole event, and we are expecting, the prime minister. We are expecting high level dignitaries to come on stage. The SPGs come in play, all checks, everything done, and we are all ready the previous night. And next morning is the event. 10 o'clock is when the event is supposed to start. We are at the venue at 6 in the morning. By the way, we left at 4 a.m. in the morning. But we are all there, and everything is going well and stuff like that. Okay, we are getting, everybody is in position. 9:30, we are like, okay, let's do a quick check, and we're going to the show order, show flow, and I'm at the console, and my colleagues are at different parts of the venue. And suddenly we realize that one of the key things in the show flow is that there is this lighting of this traditional lamp, right? And we were like, hey, that's missing from the stage. And we all go into uh, a concerned thought process, because we are like, it was there half hour ago. It was very much there last night. We have done it, and where is it gone? And then we all are scampering around in our own mind that we are like, hey, we need to be ready where. And we realize somebody, okay, has decided that it's coming in the way of, rather, that somebody turned out to be the cameraman, okay, who decided that it's coming in the way of his shot,
Office. Yeah.
okay. So he's moved it, okay. And once he's moved it, the rest of the team felt that since it's in the corner of the stage, it's no longer required, and they moved it backstage.
Oh gosh.
Okay, and then there was that little flurry, and we put it back obviously together and stuff like that. But amusing as it may seem now, at that point of time it was crazy,
Really.
so
Yeah.
crazy, if I might say. Similarly, Venu, we really specialize in these launch events. That's something which really excites us. Car launches and automobile led events, celebrities getting launched on stage with uh, turntables. All of these things is what we really specialize in. So again, I remember an incident where we have done multiple rehearsals, and this celebrity was to come in from an hydraulic lift, okay, on stage, okay. Again, multiple rehearsals done by the technical team, by the celebrity management's team, and 15 minutes before the show, even with the celebrity, because they need to know that they're going below stage, which is nearly 6 feet, and they get there, and then they need to come up. So all of this is going on, and then on during show time, okay, we are supposed to go from zero point 0.5 feet up to 6 feet of the stage for the celebrity to emerge. Okay, we realize that that hydraulic at that point of time gets locked at 4.5 feet, okay, or around 5 feet. So you have just the 60%, or I would say the waist of that celebrity there, and then it's just there, okay. But thankfully, I would give it a lot of credence to that celebrity who observed, and the tech team who realized that something is happening. So what we did is we threw in a little bit of smoke in that area, did a lot of lights effects and stuff like that, and a colleague who was to be manning the hydraulic, okay, on our talkbacks, boosted that celebrity, okay, and the celebrity just came out there. So from an audience viewpoint, it looked very normal, very natural, okay, and it all went to play. But that 9 to 12 seconds, okay,
Yeah.
seemed
it's,
many lifetimes.
it's
So
crazy.
yeah, so these are one or two things that I can really think of the immediate thought thinking process. But there are, I can assure you, Venu, we'll probably need 100 hours to go through a lot of these things.
No, but what is really interesting about this, Siddharth, is the involvement of everyone concerned. That is, that the light guys, the chaps who were throwing smoke, all of them understood that there is an issue. So it's almost as if when you've got a whole team together and they see that something is going wrong, each one is trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? And then someone acts. That is the person who's on the ground actually acts, because the moment the smoke comes in, they're able to put that person out. Or like you said, maybe the point is that, sometimes I wonder, when does this whole sixth sense come in? Because, for example, the lamb, it may not have registered, because when you look at it, it's not something that you expect to see on stage, but for some reason that sixth sense creeps in, saying that something is not there. It is, and though it is standard in every function to have the dignitaries come and light the lamp, the problem is when it's not there. Yeah. So I can understand how all of this could really take a whole lifetime of work.
Now you see why I've
So,
lost hair compared to you, Venu.
but you did you have a lot of it to begin with? But then that's another story. So anyway, but have you ever at any point felt that no, there should be some other job that I should have tried as well? Or it has never crossed your mind? You've never had the time to think of it.
So Venu, when it comes to doing what I do, I'm deeply passionate about it. I love, like I said, the adrenaline rush, the creative thinking, the hard schedules. I enjoy it as much as I can. But yes, there are those moments that come in when you see that you see your friends, you see family, you see peers, okay, having more, what I would say, uh, a structured job, structured life, okay, come in at 9 6 or 10 to 7, get
Yeah.
weekends off, get family time. So there are those thoughts that come in. I have a relatively young daughter, she's just 12, and even now and even before, she's come and asked us many a time, Papa, my friends parents also work as hard as you and things like that, but they come home early, they are there weekends, they go on holidays and all of this. Why is it that you are not here? Okay, so then there are those moments, Venu, that you feel, hey, should you be doing something different? Should you relook at how you're doing things? And then by the time, Venu, it's morning and I just want to jump out of bed and go to work. Okay, but it's not that I'm not thinking. Okay, so there are those moments, Venu, that you feel that, hey, having a more structured life, uh, is that something that I want to do? My honest answer is no. I just love it way too much, and we're thankful that the team that we have in Aura today is equally as passionate as I am, and it makes it fun to get to work most days, if not all days.
Which brings me to the question, how do you figure out if a person is right for your company? In the sense that you've done a lot of hiring, there have been people who came in, people who left. So, is there a sixth sense? What are you looking for people who come in? Because I want to give people a sense of what are the entry levels, what are salary structures like, how do people progress in it, are designations important? The questions that normally come with all of these careers.
So, when we meet people, the first thing we try, okay, in that conversations of maybe 20 minutes to 1 hour, however long it takes to engage with that potential hire, what we're trying to arrive is a couple of things. One is definitely common sense, okay, because it's not as common as we think. So it's very important to see whether they have the common sense and that ability to kind of think through various scenarios, okay. Definitely what we are looking for is attitude and temperament, because we know this is a job which requires a lot of long hours, a lot of travel, a lot of thinking on the feet, ability to work with different types of people with different energy. So it's important that we assess temperament and attitude. So those are two uh, most important things that we look for when we are looking for people to hire. Education, well, it's definitely an added benefit if they've come in from advertising or media, because they get to know the language, they are aware of the language. So that's definitely an added qualification, if I might say. Designations, as you know, are definitely critical, because when they're going out and meeting people, people want to know who are they talking to. And even the people today who are working with us or in any other industry, they feel good when they're seeing a designation. Somehow I believe that most of us want designations because we want to put it on our marriage cards, but that's a different story for some other time. So designations definitely carry some weightage, and salaries completely depend on your experience, your knowledge, and what you bring to the table. Starting salary is 3 to 4 lakhs, per annum, for somebody who's just fresh out of college there. But then there are people who are at maybe 40-50 lakhs an annum to thereabouts, depending on what value they bring to the organization. And there are organizations who probably in different parts of the country are even talking about the 6-7 digits. So that's what is the opportunity, if I might say, in this stream.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty fair, sort of yardstick that you're looking at. Now, how do you assess attitude? How does it tell you? Is it that you take people through an internship and then see, put them on the actual event and see how they respond? Are they, suddenly worried about working weekends and no, but I want weekends off? Is that one? Are there clues that you get about how this person will perform long term?
So somewhere during the interview process, Venu, we start talking about, like, as a company or as people, we are like that elite SWAT group of guys. Okay, so
Yeah.
we need. We all know how the SWAT team operates, right? Or the army. They don't want to go to war, but they're always ready to meet any eventuality. Okay,
Yeah.
they are focused. They go through training. There is a discipline. There is rigorous requirements which come in when they are probably engaging with different talks. So somewhere down the line, we start talking about it in a light manner, in a conversational manner, and then we are observing. Okay, what's the response, reaction? Are they getting worried? Are they getting scared? Is the breathing getting shallow? It's these micro expressions, which gives us an insight whether these guys are getting what they are getting. You know, and then most often we tell them to go sleep on it and come back to us after 48 hours or 72 hours if they still want to be part of this madness, as we call it. And if they come back to us, invariably we give them all an assignment. So if you're joining what we call the client services and strategy team, we give them an assignment which is to develop a concept for an event. Okay, if you're joining the production and operations team, we ask them to do costing for an event. Okay, it may not be a large event, but an event. Okay, if we are hiring people who are coming to the design, whether it's the graphic design or the space design, the exhibition stall, interior design, we again, apart from looking at their portfolio of work, okay, because the knowledge and influence of that portfolio of work is unknown to us. So we again give them an assignment and a mandate to come back in 5-7 working days, and then we have a better assessment whether this person is actually interested. So that itself becomes a informative, right? Because if they're not going to come back with the assignment, that means they're not interested in this industry. They're not interested in this job. Okay,
Yeah.
we're not honestly looking at it being even uh, if I okay, I'll reverse it. Even if it's 3 out of 10 to us, okay, or even 2 out of 10 from what our expectations are, we invariably hire that person because we know that they came in for an interview. Okay, we tried our best to give different worst case scenarios. Okay, they didn't get petrified. Okay, they came back to our HR team in 24, 48, 72 hours saying that, okay, send us the assignment, we are keen. We gave them the assignment. They took effort, energy to put together whatever they could with uh, the lack, if I might say, of the domain knowledge. Okay. And so we are saying, hey, these are people, this is the kind of people, this is the kind of temperament, this is the kind of attitude, this is the kind of personality we need at Aura. The training and the skills can be taught. Temperament and attitude, Venu, cannot be taught.
Cannot be. Yeah. Great. I think those very valid observations. So you're listening to the My First Job podcast. I'm speaking with Siddharth Ganeriwala of Aura and Wedding Vows, which I haven't talked much about so far. But since we still have time, we will be getting into it. So subscribe, share, and if you want to know what is really involved in event management, watch this entire episode because It goes into various aspects of managing events, thinking of events, executing events on the ground, and what is the temperament, attitude, and thinking that is required for succeeding in a job like this. Okay, let's move to another aspect. So that COVID was a very difficult time for event management agencies. And I remember you innovated. You came, there was this point when you showed me that online events, and at that point, everyone is saying, "What online? You're going to walk through a sort of uh, virtual kind of stall. Is that going to be interesting?" Now that COVID is behind us, what have you seen about the time during COVID, and what has happened after that?
So, first of all, Venu, I personally think COVID was the best thing that happened to us and at Aura. Okay, I mean, not contracting COVID, but from a business viewpoint,
Yeah.
it was possibly the best thing or one of the best things that happened to us because it it kind of challenged us has a team to look at how we are going to be responding to challenges, right? There are event challenges and these are life challenges, okay? So the team definitely came together, okay? We were one of the early, if I might say, or the earliest guys to move into virtual events and online events. I remember first one of our first I think we went into lockdown on the 22nd or the 23rd. In 10 or 12 days we did our first online event, and trust me, that was just a Zoom meeting, okay? So but the thing is, nobody knew about Zoom at that point of time. We were lucky that because we work a lot with some international clients, and Zoom was something that we were using for those meeting conversations. So all we did the first that period was we had got a Zoom license and we were just arranging these Zoom meetings happening there. And since nobody knew what these Zoom meetings were, even us, we were able to learn how to use Zoom and create interfaces and virtual experiences that could help in engagement with senior leadership, with employees, with customers, because that was probably the darkest time the world seen. But life had to go on. People wanted to engage with different people. So online events actually skyrocketed, right? Because people did realize that you could do meetings. I mean, let's look at it. If COVID was not there, a similar thing like this, Venu, probably would have been doing face to face in a studio. Okay, today we are
Correct.
able to do this virtually.
Yeah,
Okay, it
absolutely.
is a great value which is coming in from, say, a COVID situation. So that was a great high point for a lot of us in the industry who embraced, I would say, online virtual events. Okay, it was also testing times. We also had some of them move out of the industry, not only from Aura, but I would say the event industry itself, because a lot of them got a break, right? Which otherwise you don't get a break. They reevaluated their priorities. They reevaluated whether this is an industry they want to spend more time on, and a few of them or many of them moved out of the industry. But it also gave a chance for fresh blood and fresh talent to come in. So there's always different outlooks to life, right? There is the positives and the negatives. So like anything else, for us personally at Aura, COVID was a great experience. It brought in resilience, it brought in perseverance, it brought in innovation. So that was the COVID phase. Post COVID phase, Venu, to answer your second part of the question, today we are seeing uh, online events by default being part of many events. Two-way engagement, if I might call, in some of the events have become almost regular. Okay, which is great. And which is interesting. We are still doing virtual. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, we did a virtual DJ party, and
Okay.
this is something we do for this corporate. It's a staffing company which has 800 people across the globe. The whole purpose is they want to do this like once in 3 months, where they get the entire team or the entire 800 head count, at one time online, and then we have this DJ who's just playing music, and there are requests coming in on the chat box, and we are able to in specific location get some live cameras, which we are covering it, quickly mixing it, and showing it to the rest of it, the people, that how certain offices are really enjoying this experience. So it's creating a sort of a morale booster, if I might say. So there have been some great spin-off benefits from online virtual events, Wayne.
So during this DJ party, for example, there are they are joining through an interface, and then the camera's on, so you focus on that. Let's say somebody, a few people dancing in one office, you bring that. So like you're mixing a TV camera on a cricket field where you show various angles, you're able to say, okay, this is happening here, let me cut to that. Something interesting is happening here, let me cut to that. Is that how the
Yes.
event is organized?
Yes, Venu. So in specific, what we do is we don't use the laptop cameras, but like you use
Okay.
cricket as a great metaphor. We have in-person cameras in a few of these locations who are live recording. It goes into a mixer, much like what happens on television, and then is getting beamed out. Okay,
Okay.
so there's a lot of at least excitement that the entire organization across the globe is unifying on that one day, or that
Right.
one
Right.
hour. And then we try to get in celebrity DJs. We sometimes try to engage, add a stand up to that whole routine. So it's interesting that organization are still willing to embrace this. So that's the fun part of it. We also are looking at doing, training programs, if I might say, for a lot of our FMCG and automobile clients. They want to reach out to mechanics, they want to reach out to the last mile distributor. Now these are distributors across the country, 8, 10, 12, 15,000 of them. It's virtually, sorry, well, virtually is the incorrect word. It's challenging to get all of them into one location, but virtually you can get them into one platform for
Yeah.
engagement, right? So it's training, engagement. So we have somebody right from, say, Siliguri in the Northeast coming live in a camera talking about his and her experience. There's somebody probably coming in from Baroda. There's somebody coming in from Kovalam. So like that, tier two, tier three cities today are able to join into a platform for exchanging ideas, information. The senior leadership team is able to engage with them. They don't really need to travel to each of these locations to meet their distributors, their network of mechanics, and so forth. So definitely there has been a good positive benefit out of COVID and online events. It's about how you utilize them, Venu.
Okay. So how did you get into wedding vows and how long ago?
Venu, this was around 7, 8 years ago, if I
Okay.
remember clearly. Like any other organization, we would have our annual offsite, visioning exercise. Uh, what's the next step for us for growth? Uh, this entire thing came about. We should be getting into the wedding business. We should get into the wedding business. Data coming in, economy going at such a growing at such a pace, younger Indians, so more marriages, people spending more, and things like that. But for me, since I started my career in what I would say an advertising agency mother ship, I was always like, I'm a brand guy. I believe on logic. I can't understand this Mera Wala Pink concept. Okay. No way we are going to get into weddings. So this went into 1 year, this went into the second year, and I kept pushing it, saying no, 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 no. As you know, Venu, I'm reasonably very active in the event industry. I'm a founder member of the Event Management Association of India. So we have a lot of these networking gatherings across the country. We also have our own conference every year called Imagine. We also have international meetings. So when you're going out and meeting different people, right? You engage with them, then you realize, hey, there are many corporate event companies who have ventured into weddings. It's under a different brand, it's under a different team. So then you're like, hey, maybe that could be an approach. I was lucky enough in one of those trips. I met many people, but I ended up being lucky enough to meet these two people who are from Delhi, Chetan Vora and Arpita Gandhi. They are business partners. They run a large wedding company called Wedding Line, and various times we would meet, and we just felt we were nice together. Okay, when we engaged socially, when we engaged on round tables, and then we were looking at somebody to give us that knowledge experience, to partner with us, to work with each other. So they came on board and really helped us, what I would say, kickstart the wedding division for us. Even now, we associate on various uh, wedding events with each other, and it's been a great learning. So that's the default setting which happened for weddings. And of course we had clients whose children were getting married, and they were like, hey, you do events, why can't you do weddings? And then given the fact that I'm from a Marwadi family, which I said earlier on, uh, wedding is like the biggest thing which happens. So you had
Yeah.
relatives reaching out to you and saying, why don't you do a wedding? You're an event manager, great event company, award winning event company, why are you not doing a wedding? How is it different? And so it all, what I would say, serendipity came into play, and that's how wedding started. And it's a separate vertical. And I know we are getting recorded, but I hope some of my colleagues don't see it, but actually I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Now, apart from this, the technology, I mean, there are things that we could go into, but I want to touch on a little bit of each so that people get a sense of, the possibilities. So, giving a point where AR, VR, and mixed reality is actually useful. So, give me a couple of instances where you found that using this or deploying this in an event enhances it or increases the engagement that happens.
So, Vinu, I think one bit I would like to clarify, AR, VR, mixed reality are great words which seem cool, okay? But at the event industry, we are probably still at the tip of the iceberg. Technology is evolving, the industry is evolving, and there is willingness to engage with this technology. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to say. But having said that, on the other side, wherever the industry is used, these kind of technology has been exciting. To give you an example, around 12 years ago, for one of our events, we actually created an audiovisual film and an event atmosphere where we had 600 of these delegates given those 3D glasses. So we borrowed the inspiration from this erstwhile movie. I think it was called the Kuti Chatan. Where we walked in and these 3D glasses were given to us where we could watch it. So we said, why not we try something like that? Okay, and it was hugely successful. Then we took it to an exhibition arena where within an exhibition we created what we call a dark room, and that entire product presentation was done on 3D, where you could visualize, or rather you could see the detailing using 3D glasses. So the company didn't have to transport this 5-ton machinery with so many elements to be explained physically, but they could actually take people inside that environment to get a peek into what is happening. So that's something happening. Then, if you look at events today at an engagement level, there is a lot of virtual reality events which are happening. Engagement with reality games are a big thing. Mixed reality is really becoming very interesting utilization. So it is a combination of technology, lighting, stage effects, content play, all coming together in a very interesting manner, which is making events, exhibitions very experiential. And I think today the buzzword is experiential marketing, and the real word is experiential marketing, and not so much event management.
Great. So that I think it's been wonderful having you on the show, and time has flown. So, in conclusion, I'd like to ask you about what is the kind of thing that you would want to tell people who are looking for a career in event management.
Well, I really believe this is an industry which is growing rapidly. Okay, it's supremely exciting. Okay, the adrenal rush that you get seeing whatever you have discussed, planned, put together on paper coming live is unmatched. So definitely do consider this as a career. As I mentioned earlier in the program, it does require long hours, okay, ability to think on their feet. So I really believe, this is an industry folks should come in, and it's not necessarily they need to come in from media studies or advertising or hospitality or tourism. We've had case scenarios where we are now seeing a lot of folks who went on to study engineering, coding, who went on to work in IT companies, realizing that hey, they went with the flow, they went with the groove, but we've got at least one or two people in the past and probably in the recent who have studied engineering or other courses coming into the experiential marketing or event management industry as such. So let that not be restrictive. Unleash your potential. Find your creativity that all of us have somewhere within our body and our mind, and come and join the event industry. Believe me, it's a great joyride.
Siddharth Ganeriwala, thank you very much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure hosting you. And let me wish Aura and Wedding Vows the very best for the future.
Thank you, Venu. Thank you for having me, and looking forward to enjoying the rest of your shows as we go along. Thank you, Venu.
Thank you. This was Siddharth Ganeriwala, who has learned and managed his own company, which is into events, which is a great career option for those who don't want a 9 to 5 job, who don't want to say that I want to do the same thing over and over again. You can have fresh excitement, fresh, heart stopping moments, and great experiences. Next week, we'll be back, or not next week, we'll be back the week after next in the new year with another guest from another career. Until then, keep watching and subscribe, like, and share this with your friends. Thank you.